Okay. Good evening. Welcome to the initial convening of the Mililani Waipio Melemanu Neighborhood Board number 25 for the 2023-2025 term. Welcome to new members. Congratulations to new members and welcome to returning members. Before we proceed with the call to order, with the Pledge of Allegiance and such, I'd like to begin with a moment of silence for the devastation and the tragedy that our state of Hawaii has experienced, specifically to the Ohanas and our community, friends, neighbors, and the residents of Lahaina and Kula, the lives lost there. So please, a moment of silence. Thank you. Thank you, members. Okay, as a brief introduction, my name is Danielle Bass. I will be serving as Chair Pro Tem for the beginning of this meeting, and we will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand if you're able to. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Couldn't have done that without you, Mike. Thank you. Okay, folks. So in terms of public notice, just wanted as a friendly reminder to our returnees as well as our new members, you can tune into the Mililani Neighborhood Board. Our public notice is available at the City Neighborhood Commission Office's website. Our agenda is posted as such, attached with minutes, and pursuant to Chapter 92 Sunshine Law, we do provide the public notice of this meeting 6 days in advance. With that, I'd like to remind everyone tonight that this is a hybrid meeting. Therefore, just so that we can ensure a professional and timely meeting, please raise your hand before speaking so we can, so I can coordinate our in-person questions and our online questions for our members who are both in person and online, as well as members of the community. I'd like to remind everyone of proper decorum, professional decorum throughout this meeting, since this is a public meeting of our neighborhood board. With that, I'm going to turn it over to our temporary neighborhood board assistant, Dylan Buck. Welcome. If you could please provide roll call.
You got it. Roll call. Bass.
Present.
Flores. Present. Ka'anehe. Kapana Aki.
Here.
Kim. Here. Marilyn Lee.
Here.
Ozawa.
Present.
Thank you. Smart.
Here.
Among. Freed.
Here.
Trotter.
Present.
Williams. Carmody. Park. Here. Darsha Lee.
Present.
Gustafson. Ross.
Here.
Ahina. Nagamine.
Here.
I heard this one earlier. Suruchina.
Present. Very
All
good.
right. Segura.
Here.
Thank you. And Kupuka'a. All right. Chair, we have 20 present, more than enough for quorum. Thank you.
Thank you, Dylan. All right, members, we're going to move on along with the agenda onto the election of officers. The term for officers for this board will be from July 1st last month to June 30th, 2024. I'd like to just request if we're having some feedback, so could someone turn off their microphone so we don't have that feedback? Those members online. Okay, great, thank you. All right, so I'm going to open it up to the election of officers. Are there any nominations for the position of chair? Mr. Nagamine.
I'd like to nominate Danielle Bass to serve as chair.
Second.
Thank you. Are there any other nominations? Don't all jump for it, guys. Seriously, it's an exciting job. Okay, well, I do accept the nomination. Thank you. So Dylan, you want me to kick this over to you now?
Yeah, we got to do a roll call vote.
Okay, go ahead. Thanks, Dylan.
All right. So the motion on the table is to nominate Danielle Bass for chair. When I call your name, please state the name of the person you're voting for. You can say Bass or you can abstain. Bass.
Bass.
Flores.
Bass.
Ka'anehe. Kapana Aki.
Us.
Kim.
Bass.
Marilyn Lee. Ozawa.
Bass.
Smart.
Bass.
Among. Freed.
Bass.
Trotter.
Abstain.
Williams. Carmody. Park. Darsha Lee.
Bass.
Gustafson. Ross.
Bass.
Ahina. Nagamine.
Bass.
China. Segura. And Kupuka'a. All right, congratulations, Chair. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 votes in favor. The motion passes.
Thank you so much, members. Thank you for these return rights. Appreciate it. And I will acknowledge that the members online were not swearing. They might have just been cut out with the letter B when they turn their microphones on and off. So let's give them some cover. We don't want profanity on our board meeting. Okay, we're going to move on and open it up to the election of officers for vice chair. Are there any nominations for vice chair? I'd like to nominate Trevor Nagamine.
Second.
Seconded by Ed. Are there any other nominations for vice chair?
I nominate Mary Smart.
Mary Smart? Seconded by Les. All right, so we're going to go ahead into a contested vote. Oh, do you accept the nomination? You don't accept the nomination. Okay.
I accept the nomination.
Accept the nomination. Okay. Are there any other nominations for any other members to serve as vice chair? Seeing none, we're turning over to Dylan for the roll call vote.
All right. The motion on the table is to nominate Nagamine for vice chair. Please state his name or you can abstain. Bass.
Nagamine.
Flores.
Nagamini.
Ka'anehe. Kapana Aki. Kurumi.
Sorry, Nagamine.
Thank you. Kim.
Nagamini.
Marilyn Lee.
Nagamine.
Thank you. Sorry, I'm way over here. Ozawa.
Lana Nagamine.
All right. Smart.
Nagamine.
Among.
Nagamini.
Freed.
Nagamine.
Trotter.
I'll abstain.
Williams. Carmody. Park. Darsha Lee.
Nagamine.
Gustafson. Ross.
Nagamine.
Ahina. Nagamine.
Nagamine.
Yeah, thanks. Sorry. Savicina. Abstain. Thank you. Segura. Kupuka'a. All right, motion passes with 18 in favor and 2 abstentions. Thank you. Congratulations.
Congratulations to Vice Chair Nagamine. All right, we're going to open it up to the election of secretary. Are there any nominations? I'd like to nominate Sabrina Gustafson.
Second.
Are there any other nominations? Emil,
I would like to nominate Among. I
Amon,
yield.
is there a second? Second by Mary. Okay, Sabrina, do you accept the nomination?
I accept.
Les Among, do you accept the nomination? Yes. Okay, so we're gonna now, Dylan, we do a contested vote. Is that it? Okay. So just jog my memory. Do the candidates need to make statements or just go into the roll call?
Oh, they can if they wish. We can give them 30 seconds.
Okay.
Normally we'll do that for like a filling a vacancy because they're new to the board.
Okay,
Um,
so 30 seconds to each candidate for the position. Okay, I guess we're going beginning with Les and then following it with Sabrina. Okay, go ahead, Les.
Yeah, but, I'm willing to do it, and I'm not new to the board. I served here, and I did it before, and would like to do it again if you guys give me your faith in being secretary again. Thank you so much.
I've been on the board for over 10 years. I've served in different positions, and my background as a business attorney gives me expertise in not only reviewing complex documents, but as well as looking for any errors or omissions in the minutes that are submitted. Thank you.
Over to you, Dylan.
Thank you. So we'll do the same thing, roll call vote. Please state the name of the person that you wish to vote for. It is between Gustafson and Among. After the first vote, if we don't have enough to reach quorum majority, we'll do the roll call vote one more time to see if anything changes. All right. One more time, it's Gustafson and Among. Bass.
Gustafson.
Flores. Ka'anehe. Ka'apana Aki.
Abstain.
Kim.
Among.
Lee. Mr. Marilyn Lee. Abstain. Ozawa.
Gustafson.
Smart.
Say Sabrina.
Among. Yourself.
Yeah.
Freed.
Gustafson.
Trotter.
Abstain.
Williams. Carmody. Park. Darsha Lee.
Among.
Gustafson. Ross.
Gustafson.
Ahina. Nagamine.
Gustafson.
Savicina.
Among.
Segura. And Kupuka'a. All right. Congratulations, Sabrina Gustafson. You were elected with 13 votes to 5 and 3 abstentions. Thank you.
Congratulations, Sabrina. Okay, I'm going to open up the election of officers to the position of treasurer. Are there any nominations? I'd like to nominate Josie Anehe for the role. Are there any seconded? Thank you. Are there any other nominations? Okay, seeing none. over to you, Dylan.
Right. The motion
Oh,
on the
wait,
table.
wait. Josie, do you accept?
I accept.
Okay, now over to you.
Gotcha. Thank you. Motion on the table is to elect Ka'anehe for treasurer. Bass.
Ka'anehe.
Flores. Ka'anehe. Yeah. You have to vote. Ka'apana Aki.
Abstain.
Kim.
Ka'anehe.
Marilyn Lee. Ozawa.
Nay.
Smart.
Kahane.
Among.
Abstain.
Freed.
Kahane.
Trotter.
Abstain.
Williams. Carmody. Park. Darsha Lee. Gustafson. Ross.
Ka'anehe.
Ahina. Nagamine.
Ka'anehe.
Savicina.
Ka'anehe.
Segura. Kupuka'a. All right. Congratulations, 18 in favor, 3 abstentions. Thank you.
Congratulations, Treasurer Ka'anehe. Congratulations, members of the board. We have a membership of officers that was quite quick, and that's actually much growth from where we were a couple years ago. So congratulations to everyone and thank you. All right, we're going to move on to monthly reports. Is HFD online? I see they're not with us in person. Is any representative from Honolulu Fire Department online with us? Seeing none, we're going to move on to HPD. Welcome.
All right, aloha, good evening, everyone. Corporal Muna with the District 2 Community Policing Team. Sorry if the head is a little shiny and blinding. It's a little hot in here tonight with all the gear on. But for some quick stats, at least as far as last week, sorry, I've been training this week, but as far as last week for August, in the Mililani area, there have been 3 burglaries, 2 UEMVs, which are unauthorized entry into motor vehicles. A couple of those were smash and grab, smash the window, grab what's inside. And the other couple were, unfortunately, the vehicle owners left the doors unlocked. And the third one was forced entry. For any other statistics, though, I always invite you guys to go back to honolulupd.org. At the bottom, there's the statistics quick link that'll take you to crime mapping. And from there, any stats you're looking for in whatever area you're looking for, you can find it there on the crime mapping website. For safety tips, I know summer's kind of a wrap, but fall and winter break around the corner, people tend to travel, take a vacation time. So I have 7 travel safety tips for you folks. First and foremost, make sure your home is locked and secured. I know it's kind of a no-brainer, but even when I go to sleep at night, some doors that I think are locked aren't. So it's always good to double check. If you have neighbors that you trust, let them know that you're going to be gone for an extended period of time. Only if you trust them, though. Again, you don't want to let someone who's a known burglar let I'm going to be gone till such and such date. So hopefully you have a good rapport with your neighbors, like a neighborhood security watch type deal with them. It does work. When I was gone in the mainland, my neighbor called me up and said there was somebody in my house. Turned out it was my brother-in-law who's house sitting. So happy ending on that, but it works. It works. So. I know it does get a little pricey, but look into that Wi-Fi smart lighting as well as home security cameras. When you're away, it's so handy to be able to check in and look at your house, as well as turn the lights on and off remotely when it gets dark, even if you're far away. If you're traveling with kids or grandkids, please, if they're old enough, try and have them memorize a phone number for you folks, as well as the hotel you're staying at in the hotel room. Heaven forbid they get lost, but if they do, it's critical information that they can let a trusted adult know a phone number to contact. As well as KKIDs, honolulupd.org. If we ever do have a public KKID event, you can check in over there. Please bring them by. Us in community policing, we do the KKIDs. We'd be more than happy to get that done for you folks. And then lastly, use the hotel safe for your valuables. For the amount of time I was working in Waikiki, things do go missing in hotel rooms. So, things like passports, large amounts of cash, use that hotel safe. And that's all I have for safety tips. Are there any questions?
Yes, Member Ka'anehe.
Hi. There were burglaries in May and June, a real large amount. Did they arrest somebody for that one?
I do not know. I can look at that though, and either myself or Officer Inuma, who could be here tonight, we can get back to you on that as far as how many of those were related and if they were able to arrest somebody on that. May and June.
Yeah, it was during May and June. There
Okay.
was a large amount. Also, someone told me that they reported that their bicycle tire and covering was stolen. And the officer told her since her vehicle was not registered with the city, she wasn't allowed to make the theft. So I'd like to know if that's true. And also, she had a camera stolen that was on private property, but they told her they felt it was on city and state, and without permission, she can't report that stolen either.
Okay, so, I'm so sorry. Can you repeat the
First one
yeah,
was
the
a
vehicle part?
bicycle tire,
Bicycle tire.
bicycle covering
Okay.
that was stolen on private property.
Mhm.
But her vehicle, her bicycle didn't have a city registration sticker.
Okay.
So they said since she didn't have that, she was not allowed to make the theft report. And she also had a camera that was stolen. And they told her since she didn't have permission for the camera to be on that property, she's not allowed to make that theft either.
Okay, yeah. Well, let's do the first one first. For something like that, the bicycle, it might not be registered. You can still make the theft case. You can make a theft case. The problem that we run into with that is, it's probably not going to go very far, because if the whole point of registering something like a bicycle is to prove ownership. If I get a bicycle, it's not registered to me, it's not registered to anybody, and I want to report it stolen, you can make the theft case, but to arrest, ultimately, I would imagine the idea of making the case is to seek some kind of justice. So in order to arrest someone over something that someone can't prove is theirs, then you might run into some problems. So if there's a way for her to prove that it's hers outside of the fact that it's not registered, then that would be another story. So that might be the problem they were running into, but long answer short, you can still make the theft case. As far as the camera, I'm not too sure what the situation is with that. The property owner said that she wasn't allowed to put a camera on a property that wasn't hers. Is that what you're saying?
The officer told her that. Truth of the matter, she's a rescue organization.
Okay.
And somebody's dog's been missing in Mililani, so she's helping them get her dog.
Oh, okay.
Get the dog back. And the camera is live streaming, and it got stolen by the homeless people.
Okay. And
She needed to make the theft report for her insurance, and she can't. Insurance is not going to accept it without a report.
okay. And then the camera that she had stolen is on somebody else's property?
It's on private, but she had permission from the employees. But the officer told her, no, you need to have, I guess, written permission shown. You can be sued. In other words, she wouldn't make the report.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, it sounds like there's something a little more to that. But when in doubt, a theft case can always be made. It's kind of the moral of the story with this, as well as the bicycle. A case can always be generated as long as it's not done in ill will or anything like that, or it's going to end up hurting somebody down the long run. To make a case, that's fine. To seek justice to the very end, you're going to need a certain amount of probable cause and facts that go with it. So if there's something lacking, it might stall out. But to make the initial case, at least get the report number, and specifically for her situation where she's just kind of looking for a report number to claim in the insurance. I can't see why a report wouldn't have been made. But again, I'm not there, so I don't know all the facts with that. Yeah. I hope that kind of answers the question.
Are there any other questions? Hold on. Are there any Member Kim followed by Member Kupuka'a?
Okay, I just realized this might not be our area, but there was a fatality last night or the night before behind Costco. Is there any details about that?
I don't have any details, sir. Just other than what's already on the news. Yeah. And, the Waipio Costco is outside of our district, so even the officers that do work in this district, they wouldn't have been involved in that.
Member Kupuka'a.
Do you have any details about the woman who drove her car into the Foodland? How did that happen? Or
Yeah, sorry, I don't have any information on that. I apologize. Again, it's whatever information I would have that I could share would be the same thing, honestly, you'd see on the news. Anything outside of that, if there is some kind of ongoing investigation aside from just a motor vehicle collision, those would have to be kept confidential anyway until the investigation is complete in order not to compromise the case.
Can you tell me what's the best thing to do when I'm driving 55 miles an hour on the freeway and I'm on the right lane or next to the right lane, and you can see the only their headlights? I mean, if I step on my brakes, what should you do when somebody follows you that close on the freeway going 55 miles an hour?
Yeah, that's a good question. For tailgating, especially on the freeway, can be really scary because you're already traveling at a decent rate of speed, and if you run into something on the freeway, they're definitely going to hit you. The only thing I can say for something like that is just be patient. Don't change your driving pattern at all. If you brake, they're going to hit you. If you try and go faster, then you're going to be exceeding the speed limit. Continue your path. When you get to a safe place, whether you want to drive to a police station, if you think that they might be following you for something a lot more than just tailgating, find a safe place and a public place to pull over, like a supermarket parking lot or the police station, and you can report that. You can always report a traffic incident like that. Thank you.
All right, any other member? Okay, I'm gonna, I see that member Ann Freed has a question, and then I will kick it over to member Williams, and then I see that member Ka'apana has a question. So Freed, Williams, Ka'apana for board members. Go ahead.
It took me a while to find my hand in this
And you're on
new
mute.
format. You can't, can you hear me?
Now we can, we need you to speak up just a little.
Okay, all right. Earphones should be doing this, but I guess it's not. All right, so I want to go back to Josie's question. So I have had this experience too many times of an officer who does not want to make a written report. I've had it happen with domestic violence cases, which is really annoying and dangerous. And so when we have someone who doesn't care whether or not I shouldn't say that, who doesn't expect to have the perpetrator arrested, but needs the report for insurance, it needs to get done. So right now I'm suggesting that you, officer, look into this and help our resident get those reports. I don't care, we probably don't, insurance company probably doesn't care if it's a one-liner. And Josie, I would suggest you talk to Tracy.
Sir. Okay. Yeah, no, that's I'm actually glad that point came up because I know I've mentioned it before. I think I can't remember what situation it was, but anytime whether it's an officer that you feel is not making a police report or any other type of situation like that, once you feel like you haven't gotten the service that you deserve or you require, it's always okay to either ask for another officer or ask for a supervisor. Once that officer can explain to you to your satisfaction why he's not getting the report that you need, call for a supervisor. A supervisor will actually show up to the scene, speak to you face to face if that's what you require, if that's what you wish. Absolutely. And then help you get to the bottom of that, whether it's explaining something that might not have been explained, or if the fact that it was, a lazy officer, and then that action can be corrected. So always feel free to, you can always ask for a supervisor, and instead of just, unfortunately being left with a bitter taste in your mouth about an officer that didn't end up giving you the service that you were requiring at the time.
Okay, no for Williams. And Ka'apana, Karumin, go ahead.
So we've had complaints from residents who live around the high school, and there are three situations. The first one is a recurring one that happened, I think about a year ago, where the high school leaves a light on near the stadium. They turned it off for, I think, about half a year, but now it's back on again, and it actually goes into the homes surrounding the area, and it becomes kind of a nuisance. The second complaint was regarding, I think there was a recent activity going on at the stadium. It was not a sports event. I think it may have been a cultural event, but it went on into the late evening, and the speaker was blaring music as well as some announcement. And they thought that that was a nuisance too, and was hoping that maybe HPD was out there and had responded to some calls that were made. And then the third complaint was, I don't know if it's a club or if it's a sports group, but they stayed the night, the kids stayed the night in the gym, apparently. And the kids were making noise until the wee hours of the morning. And they called police officers, but the noise never subsided. So I'm not too sure if you're familiar with any of the complaints that were lodged with respect to activities at our local high school.
Okay, yeah, no, specifically I'm not, but that's actually, I think it's a solvable situation. The first step would be to find out if it's the same, I'm guessing it's the same 1, 2, or many more residents, and if they would be willing to talk to us in person to get more details. If they don't want to, that's fine, that's completely. Officer Inuma, who's normally here, he actually has a really good rapport with a lot of the faculty and staff and admin here at the high school, and we work with them all the time, so it'd be something that could be very easily addressed. And then hopefully they can work on remedying that situation to make sure that they're not, whatever event they're doing or the lighting or the sound stops bothering the residents that are affected by that. So it's something I can absolutely bring up. I'll bring it up to Officer Inuma, and we can bring it over to Mililani High School and hopefully get some resolution that way.
Mahalo.
Members, any other questions for HPD? Actually,
I
okay.
can't get to my hand, Danielle. Yeah, so this is
You have another
probably the
question,
most
Ann?
important.
Sorry.
Yeah, this is probably the most important thing. Can you hear me?
I can. We do need to move on, so let's keep this brief.
All right, so it's fireworks. So, we are Maui waiting to happen over here. And right now, used to be the fireworks were extending beyond what they should. Now it's every single day, all over the island. And we have, by my place where I live, in our valley, Launani Valley, we have a lot of dry places. So what is HPD doing to enforce these illegal fireworks? Because this is getting pretty scary.
So for fireworks, first thing, yeah, the fireworks, as long as they're coming in, we're going to have that problem. So the root of the problem is definitely, I would say, not with the enforcement. The root would be to try and stop the fireworks from coming in. But that being said, fireworks are a tricky one to enforce. We definitely need one of two things. We need to observe the violations so we can cite them and recover the evidence. Or we would need someone who can act as a reporting person to write a statement that did observe it. One way or another, it has to be somebody that would be willing to testify in court that they saw the observation, whether it's us or whether it's you or there's somebody else. Then we can go ahead and cite, enforce, recover evidence, so on and so forth. So don't be discouraged. Please continue to call it in if you see it, and if you know where it's coming from, and you know a specific time, absolutely. And hopefully one of these times, either the officer can see it or someone can write a statement for the officer.
All right. Thank you. Chair has a final question. We passed a resolution to require urging the HPD to do many things. That was transmitted from the Neighborhood Commission Office to HPD, as well as our city council members, the city and county of Honolulu, and our local area legislators. In that resolution, there was a paragraph asking for more detailed reporting from HPD, an actual detailed report itemizing those any occurrences within the board's jurisdiction. I'm going to just make a note that since we've passed that resolution in June, now we're in August, convening this new term, we did not receive that report. I'd like to just make the ask that in future HPD presentations that we have that report. It can be transmitted via email to the NCO, and that'll be delivered to all of our members.
Okay, no, yeah, absolutely. I apologize if there's a miscommunication. It's my first night over here filling in for Officer Inuma, so this is news to me, but I absolutely will.
Thank you.
Whether it's me or him, I will make sure that whatever that detailed information is for statistics or anything like that, we'll have it ready for September.
Please contact
Yes.
me if you have any additional questions in
problem.
relation to that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Corporal
No
Luna. We're
problem.
going to
Thank-
move on,
Thank you, everyone. Take care.
and I'm going to see if a member of the Combat Aviation Brigade 25th ID is available online. I note that they're
Yes.
not here in person. Yes?
Yes,
Who's that?
I'm here. Tony Takewitz from the 25th Combat Aviation Brigade. I'm on.
Welcome. Please proceed.
Yep. So just two announcements for everybody. So just a reminder that U.S. Army Garrison Hawaii is holding a hiring fair on the 19th of September, and that's going to be at the AMR Gymnasium. That's going to be from 8:30 to 2 p.m. and it's open to the public. So there's going to be job offers there, provisional hiring the day of the job fair, and then you can actually apply in advance if you go to www.himwr.com. And there should be a banner there where you can click on all the opportunities that are available and you can apply there. Just remember to bring two references, two proofs of ID, security card, and then also a resume or application. And then also there's going to be other opportunities available there that have to do with child youth services, if you're familiar with that. So there's tons of benefits such as retirement, access to all recreational facilities, discounted childcare training, and then also access to the commissary and PX privileges. So just something to take into consideration. Last point, just want to bring up, we don't have the training for all the other units for the month of September, but I can speak on behalf of the Combat Aviation Brigade. So September 11th through the 22nd, you can expect to see just increased rotary wing traffic during that time because there's going to be a big training exercise going on. So just a heads up for that, you'll see us flying around a lot more. So just be wary of that. But with that in mind, just remember, if you have any aviation complaints, please call the 808 number. So there's two. So it's 656-3487 and then 656-3159. And then, when you call and you make those complaints, just remember, please provide the time, location where you saw the helicopter at. If you know what kind it was, please bring that up also. And then if you could even take a photo, that'd be great. So please just capture that information and we'll try and track down the individual and correct that issue. Pending any questions, that's all I have.
Thank you so much. Members, are there any questions? Emil, go ahead, please.
Yeah, thank you so much for your presence here today. I want to ask you, are you trained with your helicopters to fight the fires?
Yeah, so you guys are all probably familiar with the fire that just broke out in Wahiwa, actually pretty close to Schofield. So that fire probably would have gotten a lot worse if it weren't for the aviation brigade. We launched pretty quickly as soon as that fire took off and got kind of out of control, the ground crews. And we actually went over there and we did some firefighting, dropping water buckets on top of the fire throughout the night. So that definitely prevented the fire from getting worse and spreading.
So as a follow-up, so would you be able to fly to Maui if you were asked?
Yeah, so if the request is given through the state, yeah, so we can actually go out there and we can respond. So we're on call right now. We're standing by. We have crews that are on a 2-hour, 4-hour recall, multiple crews, and so we are on standby right now, waiting for the state to call us if they need us.
Is that the governor who would have to request your service?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem, sir.
Members, are there any other questions for the U.S. Army? Okay, I'm seeing a question in the chat from member Ross. Has the new border of the departure turn west of the H2 been implemented, or can rotary wings still go past above Mililani Mauka's airspace?
Yeah, so it's actually, we pushed that information out to the entire team. Everybody's supposed to be flying that new traffic pattern, the one that we briefed, I think it was 2 months ago, there in person. So all the crews should be flying that. But one thing to always remember is that sometimes due to safety concerns, and then also, with just sheer number of traffic in the pattern, sometimes we do have to fly outside of that pattern in order to make sure that we're being safe and not causing any accidents. So, but for the most part, majority of the aircraft are flying that traffic pattern.
Thank you. Members, any final questions? Okay, seeing none, we're going to move on to the Board of Water Supply. I see that Kathleen Pahinui is here. Thank you.
I got a question, Chair.
Lopaka, is your question for the Board of Water Supply?
It was for the command of the 25th Infantry Division. I typed it in the chat and raised my hand, but I guess.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't see a hand raised. I'm not sure if the individual is still online from
I'm
the
still
US.
here.
Okay, one moment, Kathleen. Lopaka, could we have your name for the meeting minutes?
Yes, it's Lopaka Oliveira Jr.
Okay, Lopaka, go ahead and direct your question to the Mr. Tonikowitz. Tonikowitz? How do you spell your? How do you say your?
It's Takewitz.
Takewitz. Okay, thank you.
Hello, sir. Speaking with regards to the expiration of leases of lands, such as in Makua, and wanted to know what the 25th Infantry Division is doing about the private properties that was taken, given the expiration of leases that are coming up here in about 5 years.
So I'm not familiar with that, and I don't have that information, but I can take that question back to U.S. Army Garrison Hawaii and get you an answer on that for the next board meeting.
Fantastic. If I can just give you some basic information, this would be in regards to Appendix I of the current lease that the state has with the United States Army.
Okay. All right. We'll take note of that, and then I'll make sure I pass that back and provide an answer for the next meeting.
Thank you very much. And board, if you would be interested, I would be glad to provide this documentation to the board, considering it is private property that was taken for public use without just compensation.
Provided to Dylan, our NCO assistant.
Put it in the chat.
Thank you very much, Chair.
His contact info. Are there any final questions from the board or the members of the public for the U.S. Army? Seeing none, we're going to move on to the Board of Water Supply. Thank you.
Mahalo, Chair. Congratulations on being reelected, and to all the board members, new and past. No main breaks to report for this past month. And again, we just want to remind people on disaster preparedness. It is summertime. We are still in hurricane season. And when you do store water, we recommend 1 gallon per person per day for 14 days. Please don't forget your pets. They need water as well, and food and things like that. A couple other things, Red Hill, I know there's an interest on this board. We're moving ahead with our exploratory wells. We have 2, I believe, have been approved. We're getting permits on. 1 is about ready to be digging. This is over towards the Pearl City IA area. And we are also looking at some exploratory wells, but we keep meeting with the Navy. I keep getting updates. If you haven't downloaded their dashboard, I recommend it. You can do it both on Android and Apple, and you get regular updates on what they're doing in terms of packing, unpacking the pipelines. They're now starting to repack the pipelines in order to start defueling the tanks. So that is moving along. And the last thing is we are seeking comment on a proposed water rate hike. We have our 5-year schedule. We do it in 5-year increments. And if you have any questions or comments, you may reach us at bwsrates@hbws.org, or you can call me at 808-748-5319. I'm happy to take questions.
Thank you, Kathleen. Members, are there any questions for the Board of Water Supply? Dennis, followed by Marilyn.
Yes, looking at our current bill, I see the water rates here, but in the bill, they also have the sewage rate, and that's always much higher than the water bill. So the question is, when you raise yours, do they raise theirs?
I can't
automatically?
speak for ENV, but I think your mayor's rep can take that back and find out what they're doing. Our rates are not connected to ENV rates, but I don't know whether they are in raising their rates or anything like that.
Okay.
Marilyn, go ahead.
Thank you. Is that on?
Yeah.
Kathleen, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
The question I had was somewhat related to the current disaster, but I was wondering about the relationship of being able to pump water to whether or not the electricity is on. And is there any place in Mililani where if the electricity goes off, that the water would not be able to be pumped?
Correct. Actually, I think most of any pumping station has pumps their electrical, but what we do have is we do place a generator in Mililani, especially during the hurricane season. We deploy them to ensure in the event of an emergency, but we would fill up and top off all of the reservoirs. So there would be at least a good 24-hour supply. And of course, we would ask for conservation. But again, that's why we would ask you to store water and things like that.
Okay, well, that's good to know. And at one time, there was some sort of problem with Mauka being uphill and during fires, whether or not there was sufficient water, but I think that was taken care of. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank
you,
ma'am.
Chair.
Thank you. Members, are there any other questions for the Board of Water Supply? Seeing none in person or online, I'm going to open up to the general public. Are there any questions from the audience to the Board of Water Supply? Seeing none. Thank you so much, Kathleen.
Mahalo.
Thank you, you too. We're going to move on along this agenda into the filling of a vacancy. This neighborhood board has a vacancy in Subdistrict 4. It is one vacancy. Are there any residents interested in filling this vacant board seat? Oh, Michael Dow, welcome. Are there any other residents interested in filling the Subdistrict 4 vacancy, either in person or online? Again, don't all rush for it. Okay, thank you, Michael. Okay, so Dylan, walk me through this. Does Michael need to do a candidate statement?
You can introduce yourself, and then after that,
Please introduce yourself.
briefly.
30 seconds.
All right, I'm Michael Dow. I was on the board for many years and still would like to see the board push for widening Cam Highway. Thank you.
All right, and so we go into a
We
roll
just
call
need
vote.
one nomination from a board member. No need a second, and
Okay.
then we'll do a roll call vote.
All right, I'd like to nominate Michael Dow for the Subdistrict 4 vacancy.
I second it.
Seconded by Marilyn.
Can I speak in favor?
Oh, well, we're moving on in the agenda. Let's
Okay.
let's continue. We
Great.
love you, Michael.
Yeah.
So we're going to go with the roll call vote.
let's
The
go
motion
with
on
the
the
roll call vote.
table is to appoint Michael Dow to fill the Subdistrict 4 vacancy. Please state Michael or Dow when I call your name, or you can abstain.
Dow.
Flores. Kane. Kapana Aki.
Dow.
Kim.
No.
Marilyn Lee. Ozawa.
Abstain.
Smart.
Dow.
Among.
No.
Freed.
Dow.
Trotter. Williams. Carmody. Park. Darsha Lee.
Dow.
Gustafson. Thank you. Ross. Ahina. Nagamine.
Dow.
Svichina.
Michael Dow.
Segura. Kupuka. All right. Congratulations, Michael. 18 in favor, 1 abstention. Thank you. I do have to swear you in now so that you can vote. So you can come over here real quick. You can recite all that. Right hand for me. I solemnly swear that I will faithfully support the Constitution and the laws of the United States of America, the Constitution and laws of the state of Hawaii, the charter and laws of the city and county of Honolulu, and the provisions of the neighborhood plan, and will conscientiously and impartially discharge my duties to the best of my ability as a member of the neighborhood board to which I have been elected. All right, thank you. Congratulations. I'll give you a pen.
Welcome back.
Went away a long time. Okay.
All right, congratulations to Board Member Michael Dow for Subdistrict 4. Okay, we're gonna move on. All right, we're gonna go into the initial convening and board business rules. Okay, so Dylan, you had a protocol. We're gonna discuss all of this and do a vote of acclamation.
Yes, so this one you can do unanimous consent. We don't have to do the long roll call vote.
Okay.
But if there are any objections or abstentions, then we will jump straight into a roll call.
Okay.
So if someone makes a motion, just a reminder, the proper procedure for discussion is for someone to first make a motion, for that motion to then be seconded, and that opens up discussion for the board.
Yep.
We shouldn't talk for 20 minutes and then have a motion that might fail. That'll save time. So go for it.
All right, I'm gonna just make a motion to adopt all of the issues. Am I able to, I thought that was a question.
Let's do it one by
You wanna
one. But I
do it
think
one
when
by-
we spoke earlier, I was
I
saying
just
that
want to be expediting.
the
Okay.
meeting date, time, location, and
Shucks.
format.
Okay.
A motion could be to simply retain the previous terms,
Yeah.
meeting date, time, location, which is listed on the agenda as the fourth Wednesday of the month, 7:30, Mililani High School, this building, H building, with the virtual component.
Okay. All right. So, folks, as you know, we can tell that there's been some changes to our agenda here. I'd like to make a motion to retain that our board meet on the fourth Wednesday of every month, 7:30 p.m. here at Mililani High School with a virtual component. We will discuss the location issue later in my chair's report during the community concerns time. Second, thank you. Any discussion? Hearing none, are there any objections? Any abstention? All right, motion passed. I'm going to move on to the board recess schedule. I'm going to make a motion that we continue to allot 3 recesses during the term year of July 1st to June 30th, 2024. Second, discussion?
Let's pick these.
You want to?
It's already.
Yeah.
It's already allowed, so
That is killing me.
let's pick it. You wrote it.
No. We already had July, so it's 2 more dates. Okay, so thank you.
I had two.
20
I had
the
two.
Wednesday before November.
I'm a little confused. So this is just for July was your first one. So you get 2 more from now until June 30th. Let's keep it, or you can say July again.
Just point of clarification. May I?
For 6 months.
Hold on, we have a motion.
Yeah, we discussion, yeah.
No, we're clarifying this motion. We'll go to your point. Clarify the motion.
November and March. Understood. Is there a second? Right.
Christmas and.
This, okay, okay, we are not in discussion. Emil has a point.
I was confused with the 3 recesses. I thought we have only 2 all the time. I yield.
Right. So to the point, the term is from July to June. And the board has always historically taken the July meeting as a recess. So we already adopt that recess by not meeting. That has been the history of the board. So the 3 recesses for this term, 1 was already used with last month. So now we only have 2 left.
So my point is, how come we have 3 together? I mean, did we have 3 together, all of us? I mean, I thought it's only 2. I mean, I travel sometimes, so I'm not sure.
No, it's 3. The neighborhood plan provides 3.
3.
3.
Okay. Okay, I yield. That's all.
Okay. All right. So there was a motion. There was a second for the Wednesday before Thanksgiving and March. We're in discussion. Is there discussion? There was a second. Is there any discussion to that motion? Go ahead, Mary.
Okay, in the past, it was a struggle deciding between November and December. I'm flexible. I can do either. So I can go with November, but I just thought I'd give the people who were fighting for December a chance to speak up.
And I'll
I
address
think-
the December date this year falls after Christmas. The 4th Wednesday is after Christmas, so it's not that important.
Okay, continuing the discussion. I see that Leslie had his hand up. Go ahead.
Yeah, so the 4th Wednesday is after Christmas, so I say November's probably the better month to go with.
Okay. Any further discussion? Member Dow.
Oh yeah, it's always been Christmas because during the Christmas holidays, a lot of people are traveling or doing things. That's why we always did it during Christmas. And just because it's a few days after Christmas, a lot of people are still, you have the New Year's popping up right after that also, a week later. So we always did it in December because of there would be a low turnout anyway. We had a board meeting doing right after Christmas. And November has always been a topsy-turvy because of it's right next to Thanksgiving. But I'd rather have December.
All right, continuing discussion. Member Lee.
I'm against November and for December because the school is pretty much closed in December. And I think it would be an imposition to have a board meeting a couple days after Christmas because most people would be on vacation. Thank you.
Chair. Just a note, some boards that are in your same position, November, December, it comes up. You can reschedule, and this would be a good time to do it. Reschedule your December meeting ahead of time at tonight's meeting, and let's say a week before, maybe 2 weeks earlier. So I have the little calendar up. You can maybe choose the 20th or the 13th, keep it on a Wednesday, but you have that flexibility. So you can recess November, reschedule December, thus avoiding both holidays.
All right. Dylan, I'd like to move this, defer all this to the end of the agenda so that we receive reports from the various officials here and take this up later. Yes, members, I'd like to defer all these actions on agenda item 5 to the end of the agenda following, or not the end of the agenda, following elected official reports. We're going to defer this for later on.
Did we get a second?
Second, anybody want to second me? Seconded by Dennis Kim.
All right, thank you.
All right. Do we need a vote on that too?
If there's any
Is
objection.
there any objection? Any abstention? Seeing none, great. Okay, we're gonna move on and circle back to this later. We're gonna move on to community concerns. Oh no, approval of meeting minutes. All right, so the meeting minutes have been distributed to you, members. This is straight from the NCO. I did not have the opportunity to review these minutes at all. The NCO did not provide that to me. So I'd like to offer amendments to the meeting minutes as follows. I'd like to move to amend page 1 under paragraph guests, line 5, changing the word office to representative. So it should read Tony Schwartz, Governor Josh Green's representative, not office. She is not employed in the office. Further, on page 2, 4th bullet point, top of page, revising the word resident to Mr. It is Mr. Armstrong. This is to reduce confusion that Mr. Armstrong is not a resident of Mililani. Continuing on, 5th bullet point, revising resident to the word Mr. under recall. So this would be Mr. Jack James, again, to reduce confusion that Mr. Jack James is not a resident of Mililani, but a Mr. talking to our board. Page 3, same edits under Val Okimoto's report, line 3, revising the word resident to Mr. In the questioning of Mr. James to Councilmember Okimoto. And again, on page 3, during Matt Ware's report, item number 3, line 1, revising the word resident to Mr. when Mr. James inquired Councilmember Ware. That is my motion. Is there a second? All right, discussion to the proposed amendments. Any discussion? Any need for clarification? Seeing none, are there any objections to the minutes as amended? Are there any abstentions? Wonderful, the amendments pass. Thank you, members. Okay, that was quick, and we're gonna move into community concerns. At this time, I'd like to, I note that there are many individuals of the community here tonight who would like to report on any events or concerns with the community. I'd like to begin by welcoming representatives from the Hawaii State Department of Education. I note that the DOE Superintendent, Mr. Keith Hayashi, is present in person with us, as well as Department of Education Assistant Superintendent Randy Tanaka. So because we didn't have the opportunity to put you on the agenda, I'd like to welcome you at this time to speak to our board. If you have a reason to speak to our board, please go ahead. Welcome.
Good evening, Chair, all board members. Keith Hayashi, Superintendent, Department of Education. Here tonight to answer questions related to student transportation. We've been working very closely with Senate President and Senate Vice President and Education Chair Michelle Kidani, and she's been holding us accountable to bus transportation and student transportation. So we've been going to different neighborhood board meetings, answering questions. So my apologies for not letting you know earlier to get on your agenda, but if you do have any questions, we're here to answer any questions that you might have. Thank you.
Members, any questions for the Department of Education regarding the bus schedules? Yes, Member Smart.
Okay, thank you for being here. But why is there a shortage of drivers? Did something happen that we can't have the buses? I heard it was drivers. Is there a bus shortage also?
Thank you very much for the question. Following COVID, we did have a loss of bus drivers. As you know, our bus drivers require a CDL license specifically with an S designation, because they're transporting students. So it's a very unique license. And so following COVID, we stopped school. Several of our bus drivers either found other jobs or some left the state. What we're experiencing now in Hawaii with a shortage of drivers is not unique to Hawaii, but it's actually a issue that is that school districts across the country are facing. And so in Hawaii, we have experienced that shortage of drivers. We are doing what we can to the department. Randy Tanaka, Assistant Superintendent, the Office of Facilities and Operations, Student Transportation is one of the areas that he oversees. And we have employed various strategies to see what we can do to acquire additional drivers. That has been difficult though. But we continue to do our best to see what we can do.
Just wondering, were drivers fired because they didn't take the vaccination? Is that one possibility of why there's a shortage?
No, to my understanding, there were no drivers that were terminated. Anything related to vaccinations or vaccination status. Yes, Tanaka, if you have anything else you want to, if I'm misspeaking, please jump in and correct me. Thank you.
Members, any other questions for the department? Okay, 1 second. I see that member Darsha Lee online has a question and then followed by Segura. Go ahead, Darsha.
Yes, thank you for being here tonight. Was there a bus driver shortage prior to COVID? Because that's my understanding that this has been a chronic issue and just
I don't
worse.
believe we had one. Yes, Tanaka, maybe I want to take that question. I want to be sure we're very accurate in addressing the board's question.
Good evening, Madam Chair, board members. Prior to COVID,
Could you adjust your microphone so that we could hear you? Thank you.
how's that? Better? Okay, thank you. Prior to COVID, you always have it's really in the retirement range because a lot of these drivers are part-time. And so when we came out of COVID, so statewide at that point, we were running about 650 drivers, which means 650 routes. When we came out of COVID, we had lost about 150 drivers. And from what superintendent said is absolutely correct. People needed to sustain their income and have jobs. And so they elected to get other jobs because the buses weren't operating. So it's a driver shortage. This phenomenon is not unique to Hawaii. I just had a meeting with the Hawaii Transportation Association on a national level. And it's not only school bus drivers, but passenger drivers and general commerce CDL drivers. There's over 1 million drivers shortage across the nation. And understand that what that means is it impacts commerce. Trucks move more product throughout the nation than do trains or planes. So it's a national problem that we have. We're fortunate enough that I spent some time working with Ed Sniffen, who's now director for Department of Transportation, and we dialogued for over 2 years this issue. And he presented to the governor a recent emergency proclamation to allow us to use just CDL type drivers. So we're in the process of going through recruitment, working with our contractors. We contract our bus services from companies like Roberts and Akita and those guys that have drivers that cross into the tourism side and student transportation side. So that's how that business is managed.
Thank you. Members, any other questions for the DOE? Member Segura.
What's being done to help students cross freeway on-ramps and off-ramps? Because we have schools at the top in Mililani Malka for younger students who can't catch school buses who are on the younger side, and students who have to walk down past freeway on ramps to get to Mililani High School. So, is there like education for the younger students about crossing those busy on and off ramps?
Not to my knowledge, right? There's not specific, like all of us, we caution our younger community that pay attention, look at two sides. This device doesn't help us at all when kids are walking across the street, unfortunately. But we try to do our best to tell them, be careful as you traverse some of these areas. The speed humps have helped tremendously in certain areas to slow down the speed, but it's a dual thing. I mean, we need to have our pedestrians understand that it's dangerous crossing some of these areas. And we've worked with DOT in some locations, and we're looking at more locations to put these speed humps. And that's why this S requirement in the CDL, there's a different kind of training for bus drivers. When they stop, that sign has to go up. They really pay attention to how the kids cross those intersections. So that's the degree of work we've done to help students understand that it's dangerous.
Thank you for answering the question.
That brings up a good point. Sorry. Have you heard from the local schools in Mililani where previous bus riders are now walking? And, let's acknowledge that Mililani Middle School is in Mililani Mauka. And I think to Board Member Segura's point, you have to walk along Meheula Parkway, a city road, quite busy city road, over the H2 freeway, right, with various on and off ramps, and then vice versa. Mililani High School is here in the Mililani town area. You have Mililani Mauka residents, possibly, students walking down to attend Mililani High School, right, on a daily basis. Have we seen an increase in pedestrian activity for our students now to either access Mililani Mauka schools from the Mililani town community or from Mililani Mauka to the Mililani High School community?
So for the first 2 weeks of school, we observe what the ridership is like. Now, not everybody rides the bus. So we know that middle schools have the highest activity, right? And in this situation, the middle school, when they make reservations on the bus, right now we're carrying about 257 students, but the rest don't choose to ride the bus. So that's an option that the families pick. Our highest area is on the Big Island. Keao High School carries 265 middle students, and their geography is much more spread out. What is kind of interesting as we collect this data, for requests for the high school, there were only 35 students that requested high school bus transportation. So every community is different. Yeah. So, the ones that are geographically, I just came from Naalehu on South Point on the Big Island, where from a community called Ocean View to that school is quite a distance. And we developed a program 2 years ago for what is called a Holo Card, encouraging students to ride on public transportation specific to an age group from grades 9 to 12. And that program has been going 2 years now. Last year, we distributed 9,000 cards. At this point in time, we're 10,600 cards. So we are beginning to give that opportunity to the older group. We did not offer that to the younger group because we want to transport them. They may not be ready to ride public transportation yet. So 2 goals: get more activity on public transportation and give us relief because of the driver shortage to maintain the K-8 ridership. And that's why you see this shift. But back to your question, we haven't seen an appreciable amount of shifting in that area yet, but that's only the first 2 weeks of school, right? We're working with the city and county of Honolulu to see what their routes are carrying. And the city and county deals with the general population and transportation. Their business is not just our students, but we've tried to align routes and we've worked with them. And so we won't know for another couple of weeks what that traffic's going to look like, but we're watching it pretty closely because there's a chance we could shift some routes around.
Are you also measuring that pedestrian?
No, we're not.
Hard.
Yeah, it's hard. We
Okay.
I can have a discussion with our but there's state and county roads, right?
Yes.
So that's the other thing.
With the area, at least within this board's jurisdiction, the main concern would be Mehila
Yeah.
Parkway, which is over the major freeway.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that's the safety concern for us.
Yeah. And no difference on the Big Island, right? That those
Yeah.
straightaways and the highways. So yeah, we have been, knock on wood, relatively lucky that student incidences have been relatively low. We did have a young person get hit by a car, but fortunately wasn't super serious. But always, and the bus drivers are they're responsible to help us deliver the safety package. Thank you.
Thank you. I see some more hands raised. So board member Ka'apana has a question online. Go ahead.
With respect to transportation on foot, recently some properties that were owned by Mililani Town Association was given over to the high school. And as a result, an egress was cordoned off and no longer available to the public. This is an ongoing problem, and even more so, students who are, and I'm talking about elementary students, who are trying to get from Mililani Waiana Elementary School to Subdistrict 4 normally would walk through this sidewalk egress, or I should say walkway, which now travels through the high school. But they've put up a gate now so that young kids cannot go through that access. And they have to go all the way around 3 blocks just to get to that elementary school, which is probably going to cause a safety issue. And it's an accident waiting to happen. So I guess what I'm asking is Mr. Hayashi to reconsider maybe the opening of this walkway during school hours so that our elementary children can walk through that walkway to get to school.
Yeah, we'll look at it. I mean, yeah, yes, we did. The town center gifted a strip around the high school and towards the other side for a number of maintenance reasons and liability reasons. When we built that handicap ramp, it was on Mililani Town Center property, and some of the liabilities that the state and the town center should not carry was gifted to the school. But we'll look at that gate.
So actually this egress is actually located between the gymnasium and the main campus of the high school.
I'm not really familiar with all of the issues around this particular area that you're describing. So we can definitely get together with you to see what those issues are.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any additional or final questions from members of the board? Okay, I'm going to open it up to members of the audience. I see that Trayton C has a question online. Trayton, would you please introduce yourself for the meeting minutes?
So I'm Trayton Cabral, and I'm a student here at Mililani High School. So
Wonderful. Please proceed with your question.
So actually, I just wanted to express my gratitude to Mr. Hayashi and the Department of Education for assisting us in merging our student ID cards into holo cards, because it does create for a very convenient system, and I'm just thankful for that.
Thank you, Trayton. Are there any other questions from the audience? I see Kate Ozawa. Please come to the microphone, ask your question.
Hi, a little short. Hi, I'm Kate Ozawa. I went here, graduated 2016. I was wondering, given that students, older students now have to get here themselves, either by walking or taking public bus, which while useful can take a while, will there be any leniency towards tardiness when getting to school? Because when I was here, teachers were pretty harsh about getting here late. I figure that might be a frustrating situation if you have to rely on public bus and the buses are 20 minutes late.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the question. One of the things that is very important to us as we work together with our students is the importance of being timely in terms of fulfilling their responsibilities. And one of the things, especially at the high school level for our students, what's important is that the planning and the timeliness is important for them to get to school on time. So I think we would all agree that being to school on time every day is very important for our students. And so that's our focus. So, we would want our students to go ahead and ensure that they have enough time in utilizing public transportation to get to school.
All right, thank you. Any final questions from the members of the audience here? Yes, please come to the microphone, introduce yourself, and address your question.
Okay, my name is Robert Catalina. I graduated Mililani in 1984. So I might be the oldest one here. Anyway, I know you guys talking about transportation and all that, and I figuring you're trying to get more kids to catch, right? The being caught or catching the bus or something. But anyway, my day, we did both. So I either catch the bus or walk because I wanted to walk home with my gang. And as we walk home, we're going to trails and all that. And we never have Walmart. We had pineapple field and sugarcane. So we're going through all of that. And in the meantime, when we walking home, we're talking to our gang, what kind of fun we're going to do and all that kind of stuff. And it's a long walk. I live all the way from here to Rec Center 4. And sometimes I walk to school from there up because I got to meet my friends. We walk. We never needed the bus, but I understand you guys want to transportate all the kids now because there are thousands of them. We thought our class of 300 was a lot and was pretty much plenty. And we never had all these buildings and everything else. And now we're at this 50th year anniversary. I hope we hope to see something good about it. And as walking back and forth, you know how athletic Mililani is, I guess because we do all that walking. Besides catching the bus. So we kind of do both.
Yeah.
But now I know there's thousands of kids and I guess all the parents are worried. Yeah.
It's more crowded too.
Yeah.
A question for the DOE?
No, I just wanted to share.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for sharing. All right. Well, with that, we're going to close this out. Thank you so much, Superintendent.
May I make one last comment, Madam Chair?
Go ahead.
I just want to extend our appreciation to Mayor Blangiardi and Roger Martin from the Department of Transportation Services. They've been really working together with us to be solution oriented. So we really appreciate the mayor's help and support in helping to move this forward to ensure that our students can get to school safely. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here tonight. We're going to continue on with community concerns. Are there any other individuals here who would like to report of any events or concerns within the community? Yes, sir. Please introduce yourself to the microphone and state your concern or event.
Hi, my name is Walton Aoyong. Last name is spelled A-U-Y-O-N-G, not like it's mentioned in the minutes. I'm just wanted to do a follow-up on my last time I was up here regarding the tree on Pioneer Place. I know that the minute talked about trees in general. I don't know the status of the other trees, but the one on my street, it's still up in the air. And I already talked to Tracy about trying to get a follow-up on the status. And they're supposed to have taken care of it this month. So we're still waiting the action of removing the 8 trees and their desire to replace it with 13 trees. So unpleasant to the resident. But anyway, that's our status on my street. I don't know the status of the other streets on Mehiula Parkway and Lanipuhana. Thanks.
Mahalo. Sounds like you also worked it out. So that was great. Tracy's always on it. Are there any other individuals who would like to speak on any events or reports? Yes, sir. Please introduce yourself to the public microphone and report of your event or concerns within the Mililani community.
Hello, I'm Diego Carranza, and I'm gonna kind of get ahead of this and maybe even beat Rep. Perusa to this. In October, on the 12th, we're having the Hawaii Children and Youth Summit. This is an opportunity for the youth, ages, I want to say 14 to 24, to gather at the Capitol and discuss various issues that they feel are most affecting the youth. These issues are going to be ranked 1 through 10, and it's going to be given to the Keiki Caucus, where they'll go on to write bills regarding these issues. And so if you know of youth that might want to go advocate for what issues that they might see in their communities, I know really big ones are vaping. We just talked about buses. That can be another one. So October 12th, and it's a mostly all-day event from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. So if you have any additional questions regarding that, feel free to reach out to me.
Thank you so much. Members, any questions? Yes, Josie, go ahead.
Where do they sign up?
Where they sign up, so you can, I'll give you my email at the end of this, and I can give you that more. And then next month, I'll also come with a save the date flyer for more information, but mainly to get ahead of it. I don't think registration is quite out yet, but the more numbers we can get, the better. So trying to get that in their schedule early.
Any other questions for this individual? Yes, Mary.
Okay, thank you for being here. What office do you work with, or what organization are you with?
So this is for the Hawaii Children and Youth Summit. They're an independent organization that put this on, and the Keiki Caucus kind of facilitates this. Me, myself, I'm on some planning committees for that, so I'm kind of conveying that information. But I'm also the Honolulu Youth Commission, District 2 rep, so kind of here to take in all the issues on what's affecting our community.
Any final question? All right, seeing that. Oh, yes, Vice Chair.
So just to clarify, this is the city's youth commission, is that right?
Yes, the city's youth commission, but the city's youth commission is not advocating for this specifically. This is just
you.
I'm just sharing this out.
Okay, thank you.
For the youth.
All right, thank you so much for your presentation.
Yep.
Okay, are there any other individuals who would like to report of any events or concerns within the community? I see that Lopaka has your hand raised. Lopaka, I believe you mentioned you wanted to share something during this time, correct?
Yes, thank you, Chair.
Please reintroduce yourself for the record, and please proceed. Thank you.
Yeah, my name is Lopaka. I had two things I wanted to bring up. The first was, I believe in May or June, someone had asked about Fukani Local and what was going on there. So I just wanted to provide a response to that inquiry. I'm the former vice president of the Hawaiian Civic Club of Wahiwa, the nonprofit organization that has been tasked to maintain Kukani Local and has done so since for the last 60, 70 years. The Hawaiian Civic Club of Wahiwa is made up of the family members of this place area, known also as Waianae Uka. And they've continued to maintain the area and are currently working on a project called 1,000 Trees. And to learn more about this project, you can go to kukanilocal.org for more information. So that's all I wanted to share about that issue there. With regards to the other issue, it's not so much a community issue like Kukani Local, but it is a governmental issue. This governmental issue has to do with the leasing of lands, particularly lands in Makua. In the leasing of lands in Makua, about 165 acres of those lands were private lands belonging to Hawaiian families, who at that time were not vested in their private interest in those lands by probate, because the original landowners, who was their ancestors, had passed away. And so we all are familiar with the history of Hawaii. And so after the usurpation of Hawaiian sovereignty in 1893, the United States government decided to seize the territory or annex the Hawaiian Islands under military necessity in 1898, and then continued to fund the government at the tune of $4 million in 1900, to then start arranging agreements with this government. One of the agreements they made was a lease of land, and these lease of lands are lands which are now called public lands. But like I mentioned earlier, about 165 acres, particularly in Makua, are private lands. And so the issue I'd like the board to consider to put on the agenda is that given the fact that State General Lease Number S, as in Sierra-3848, is soon to expire in August 16th of 2029, which is approximately 6 years, the state of Hawaii government and the Department of Land and Natural Resources will have to decide what to do with the lands in Makua after the expiration of these leases to the Department of Defense, particularly the Secretary of War. In that, I believe that this board should consider that some of the community members here may be heirs to the 19 parcels of private property lands that were taken without just compensation by this lease. And so I'd like to inform both the board and the community of this matter, given that we're still way down the road from it, so that we can participate effectively in the decision-making in government at the government level as a community as well. Because I believe the community inherently is invested in this situation due to the basic principle that we all believe that private property should not be taken without just compensation. And so in this particular instance, the private property of a lot of heirs of Hawaiian subjects was taken without just compensation. And we see the result of that today, where the Hawaiian people are at the bottom of the socioeconomic barrel with regards to their own homelands and how they can survive here. So I urge the board to consider the matter as a public necessity, and so that individuals who have private interest in these matters are not overwhelmed by the public interests, which are not relevant at all to the private concerns of the property owners, and should not weigh more than the private property owner's interests. And so I'll be glad to provide documentation to the board at the next meeting with regards to this matter. However, I cannot release any copies because I don't have consent to do so. I do believe the board might be able to retrieve these documents because it is public records. Like I said, it is a state lease to the Department of Defense Secretary of War, or Secretary of Defense as the title is today. And so if there's not any further questions, I thank the board very much for your time.
Thank you, Lopaka. I'd like to ask for you to provide your contact information. It can be provided in private via chat, but send that contact information to Dylan. And what I can do is offline after this board meeting, I can coordinate with NCO to obtain your contact information and we can kuka from there. Members, are there any questions for Lopaka? Yes, Leslie, and followed by Anne.
All right, Lopaka, I'm very happy that you brought this up. I would like to work very closely with you on this, being of Hawaiian descent myself. I was talking with some of my friends down in Konia that Hawaiian friends that have farmlands, and they were discussing the very thing that you're talking about. So I would like to work very closely with you on getting the information and making everybody aware of what information we can share with our board members. Thank you.
No?
Yes, and followed by Dennis.
Okay. So I'd like to make a suggestion, Chair. This is not a question, that we have a presentation, hopefully by the Hawaiian Civic Club, because I'm sure that none of us has the full picture of the history of what went on and how this relates to what's going on right now. I, for one, would like to know so that we can be better informed and perhaps make a resolution with respect to this.
Okay. Yeah, Danielle had to step out briefly, but so Dennis.
Yeah. I think I'm the one that brought up the Kukani Loco issue. But one of my concerns is that I was born and raised in Wahiawa, part Hawaiian, and that used to be a very sacred place for our family, and we visit there. But since Hawaiian Civic Club or whoever does it now, it's been blocked off for what, a couple of years now. So my question is, when will that be opened, or what are you projecting will be open for the public or for people of Hawaiian ancestry to go and visit? Because right now you're blocking everybody from coming out.
Yes, thank you for the questions and appreciate the comments and the willingness to be involved with regards to the plight of not just the heirs of the lands in Makua, but also the Hawaiian national population in general. With regards to Kukani Loco, there's two particular things I want to address there. I believe Board Member Freed brought up being informed or wanting to be informed or needing to be informed. Excuse me for the background noise. But I believe she requested the need to be informed by the Hawaiian Civic Club of Wahiawa of the full spectrum of the situation. And the Hawaiian Civic Club of Wahiawa is not involved with regards to the private interest of the private landowners or heirs of the landowners in Makua. The Hawaiian Civic Club of Wahiawa is only involved in the management and the caretaking and stewardship of Kukani Loco, which also is recognized as a state monument or historic site, and therefore is afforded some protections under historic preservation laws, which, by the way, has been waived in light of the governor's emergency proclamation. However, I can speak to the fact that with regards to the current status of Kukani Loco and access to Kukani Loco, as the former vice president of the Hawaiian Civic Club of Wahiawa, and I should disclose I'm no longer a member of the Hawaiian Civic Club of Wahiawa. But the Hawaiian Civic Club of Wahiawa has been in an agreement with the Office of Hawaiian Affairs that has purchased 500 acres surrounding Kukani Loco for the management and caretake of not just the 5-acre parcel of Kukani Loco, but also the 500 acres surrounding Kukani Loco. And thereby, the Office of Hawaiian Affairs has left the management of access to the Hawaiian Civic Club of Wahiawa. Now, the Hawaiian Civic Club of Wahiawa has denied public access for quite some time due to the fact there's no public facilities to manage the traffic that sometimes occurs there. Some of you might have witnessed some of the tour buses parked on the side of the roads before the pandemic where tourists would unload. There's no parking structure there. There's no parking lot there. There's no restrooms there. There's no water there. And so given these concerns, public access has been denied. And so I hope that helped to answer the last board member's inquiry With regards to the first member's passion to want to participate and assist in correcting the matter of the state lease in Makua. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And to all the board members, I appreciate your service as well. Thank you very much.
Okay, just a follow-up question. So you're saying that OHA is the controlling factor, or sounds like you're saying Wahiawa Hawaiian Civic Club is not. They're maintaining one part, but they don't own the whole land. And I'm aware that they took over the 500 acres. But I think the bottom line is, so who is the person or group that will be looking at either completing the construction that they're doing or whatever they need to do to reopen it for the public?
Well,
Or-
as far as I know, and I'm sorry, board member, I'm not sure what your name is, but as far as I know, the Hawaiian Civic Club of Wahiawa has submitted a proposal to the Office of Hawaiian Affairs, which controls and owns the land. As the manager and stewards of those lands and the original families of those lands, the proposal submitted by those families in the Civic Club of Wahiawa was, I believe it was in 2016. And that proposal was accepted and a concept plan was drew up. And that plan consisted of several elements. And development was part of the faction, one of the factions, one of the elements in there. But primarily the main focus of the plan was for reforestation. As we know about the devastation in Lahaina, most of our members in the Hawaiian Civic Club and Hawaiian community in general understands the Olelo no Eau, and forgive me for not knowing the
Yeah,
Olelo
you know,
Ho'okipa
we don't need
doctrine,
to waste the time of the board here, but I'll just talk to you offline or something like that. If you send me your information, we can talk about that. But it seems like you're more concerned about Makua and the private ownership of land as opposed to, opening something in our area that's for the public in our area. But we could talk about that later. And I don't want to
Yeah.
waste all the board time.
No, not a waste at all. It's just to provide some clarity. The Kukani local issue is a community issue. The Makua issue is a governmental issue. And both of them deserve attention of this community. For I am an heir of the lands in Makua.
All right. Thank you, Lopaka. I see that we have no more questions. So we will move on to any final community concerns from residents or events and concerns within the Mililani community. Okay, seeing none at this time, acknowledging that there is no agenda item for the chair's report, I will provide the board with a brief chair's report during this time. In terms of our meeting location, I know that that was an issue that I raised during the June meeting of the meeting location. There were ongoing contract negotiations between the City Neighborhood Commission Office and the State Department of Education. I want to stress that it was between the state DOE and the city NCO. There weren't people really involved. It wasn't primarily the high school principal here, who was a wonderful supporter of our neighborhood board. This was an issue where the state DOE created an online facilities portal system in which everything has begun to be standardized. Some rates were raised, and so those charges increased island and statewide. But in terms of neighborhood board meetings and issues before the neighborhood commission office, while they were trying to renegotiate contracts for our board and other boards, this was an ongoing issue that they encountered with all state DOE facilities. Our board was, of course, included since we recently began meeting here in the Mililani High School facility. That was an ongoing negotiation between the city NCO and the state DOE for about 2 months, I would say 3 months. What do you think, Dylan? quite a long time. And there were a couple stalemates. In the end, I was very convinced we were probably going to have an online meeting, right, Dylan? And such, that is one of the reasons why the agenda is a little weird. I approved the agenda to be online, and last Wednesday evening, by Thursday morning, we were able to move mountains, have frantic negotiations. I personally called quite a few people to make this happen so that we could continue meeting here at the Mililani High School. So with regard to the portal system, which is a standardized entity or system for all DOE schools, we were able to receive a 1-year waiver. That is why, members, I just ran out during the community concerns, because not only did we have the DOE superintendent here at our board meeting, but we also had the assistant superintendent in charge of facilities maintenance. So I frantically ran out. Apologies to Lopaka, to make sure that our waiver remains true for this year. And it looks like that this can continue. However, this will be an annual request to waive, right? And the DOE acknowledges that the neighborhood board is a city function, and that these are, we're both government agencies trying to work together. So we're definitely trying to come to close terms here, but this will be an ongoing contract issue between the state DOE and the city NCO office, right? This isn't, I was barely involved. Principal Murphy was barely involved. This went to the higher ups and required complex area superintendents and various assistant superintendents approvals. So that is why we're magically meeting here. And I just want to thank the city NCO office, the state DOE, and all the players, especially Superintendent Hayashi and Assistant Superintendent Tanaka, so that we can make this our meeting location for this upcoming year standard here in Mililani High. Second to my chair's report, you will notice that partner Akiona is no longer our neighborhood commission office neighborhood board assistant. Congratulations to partner. He moved on to another job. He's teaching, I believe, at Damien High School, his alma mater. So very exciting news for him and growth. So we are blessed today with Dylan Buck as our temporary NCO neighborhood board assistant. And right now they're trying to figure out who's going to replace partner, since partner had not only our neighborhood board, but quite a few neighborhood boards. So once I find out a permanent NCO assistant, I will get that information to you. Third point I'd like to raise, we have quite a few new board members. I was unable to receive your information from the neighborhood commission office. So that's why I wasn't able to contact you. I do not have your contact information. So in order so that we can have some, if you're comfortable, please pull me aside after this meeting so I can receive your contact information. So if there are any board issues that we'd like to discuss, I can talk to you directly in accordance with Sunshine Law. So please contact me. If you need my email address for some of the board members online, feel free to ask the city NCO office. That's available. They can give my email out to neighborhood board members for the Mililani neighborhood board. I'm also on the website. Yes. Okay. That concludes my report. Are there any questions? It was a busy 2 months. All right, seeing none. Thank you. We're going to move on and conclude community concerns and move into presentations. We have Danielle Castro, Leilani Ward Reilly, as well as members of the ASMHS to present here for the Mililani High School Homecoming Parade. Welcome and please proceed.
Aloha, can you hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. Hi, good evening, Chair Bass, board members. Happy New Year as a school year and a board. I am excited tonight to be here with Danielle Castro, who is my assistant student activities coordinator, as well as some of our student body board members, as well as our ASMHS president online tonight. And we are excited to share with you our annual homecoming parade will be happening on September 30th. I'm going to drop in the chat here a link to it. My apologies for not being there. I got last Wednesday's memo. I was certain we were online and then so excited to see the background. So we will see you in person soon. If you go to our high school website, milalani.hs.org, the link is also right there. So I dropped it in the chat, as well as it's on our Mililani High School website. But the parade will be the same route as last year. So we will begin our staging on Saturday morning, September 30th at the Mililani High School parking lot. And then we will proceed out and turn left on Mehe'ula Parkway, make an immediate left off of Mehe'ula onto Ho'okelewa'a, where we'll turn right and pass Mililani Waina. We'll then follow down that lane till we go left on Kwahelani, where we will pass Kipapa Park, and go right there, passing the Presbyterian Church area, where we'll then loop left back to Kipapa Drive, passing our buses for our and the Mililani Shopping Center, which will lead us to our destination at John Kaminana Stadium. So we're excited, especially because it's the 50th, to have our parade back in action. Staging will start about 8:30. Parade launch is 9 a.m. And we usually, the front of the parade will hit the stadium about 10 a.m. and the back of the parade within about 15 minutes or so of that, typically. So, but that's why we wanted to come tonight, to kind of explain the launch of our homecoming. The homecoming game will not be that same night, where we're launching our homecoming parade on the 30th with the parade, or homecoming celebration, I should say. But we're closing the week off at the end, October 7th. So all alumni and community members are welcome to come to our homecoming game night, which will be October 7th, the following Saturday. Are there any questions?
Members, any questions for Mililani High School regarding this homecoming parade? Member Dow would like to ask what time this begins?
The parade start time is 9 a.m. We will have our elementary schools joining us, and so our staging with the elementary schools, our marching band and ROTC, that will start about 8:15, 8:30, all inside the high school parking lot areas.
Any other questions for MHS? Seeing none, we're going to go ahead now. This was just a presentation for information, correct?
Yes, of course. Looking for support for our community. You all are welcome to come out and watch.
Okay, yes.
Thank you.
But just to confirm, you don't need any motion of support from us, or in the past we have asked for that, or you have asked for the motion of support. Would you like the motion?
State the informational presentation is what we were tasked to reach out to all stakeholders,
Okay.
of course, including neighborhood board.
Okay, wonderful. So this was an informational presentation with no need for any motions from our board.
Yes.
Wonderful. All right. Well, thank you, Leilani. Appreciate that.
Thank you. All right. Have a good night.
Right. Good night. All right, members, we're going to move on to the elected officials reports. Please note that we reordered the report agenda. So I'd like to begin by inviting Mr. Nestor Garcia, representative for Congressman Case, to provide your report. I see that you're online. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I do appreciate the reordering of the agenda. I was lucky that I was still able to make it, though, even though you did that, because I was sitting in on the Makakilo Kapolei Wanakaihala Neighborhood Board previous to this discussion. So I was able to come over here virtually to be with you all. The Congressman's third quarter report is in the chat, the link to the report. But for those who are not able to go online, I'll go quickly over the report. He talks about his continuing work on the House Appropriations Committee, of which he is a member. What is really important about that assignment, given what has happened with Lahaina and upcountry Maui, is that he also sits on the committee's subcommittee on Homeland Security, which has jurisdiction over FEMA, Federal Emergency Management Agency, which is the agency that is leading the effort to take care of the people there and their needs, their immediate needs, and their needs going into the years to come. So he also wants to make sure that everybody knows he is working on making sure that the emergency relief fund administered by FEMA does not run out of money. We are running out of money, unfortunately. There's been a number of disasters across the country. I recall there are about 15 other disaster declarations across the country for any and all other weather-related disasters that have occurred. And this was just before the Maui situation, as well as the situation with Tropical Storm Hillary that hit the Western United States. So the president has put in a request for an emergency supplemental to take care of all of the concerns and needs that FEMA is trying to address with all those 15, 16, 17 other disasters. That request is $12 billion, but probably going to need more given what we are trying to put our arms around with respect to the Maui situation. So although this is not his district, and we do want to make sure that everybody understands that, but we are going to work with Congresswoman Tokuda, as well as the rest of the congressional delegation, to make sure that Hawaii gets its fair share, yeah? Make sure that the people of Lahaina are going to be taken care of with that emergency supplemental. In the report, though, Madam Chair, he also talks about his Congressional App Challenge. This is annual app challenge, open to middle and high school students. There are criteria, though, when it comes to this competition. The students must be in middle or high school on November 1st, 2023. Students must either reside or attend school in the 1st Congressional District. And students can compete as individuals or in teams of up to 4 students, in which at least 2 students of the 4 must reside or attend school in the Congressional District. The deadline to register and submit an app in this competition to his office is Wednesday, November 1st. Now, if you want more information about this Congressional App Challenge, you can call our office, yeah? 808-650-6688. We also want people to know that he's accepting applications for young men and women who might want to consider a congressional appointment nomination to one of our 4 service academies, either one of our 4 service academies, West Point Air Force Academy in Colorado, Merchant Marine Academy, as well as the Naval Academy in Annapolis. So for more information on that, again, call our office, 808-650-6688. Fully completed applications to be considered as a nominated person to any one of those 4 service academies must be received by his office no later than Friday, October 13th. So again, for more information on how to apply, call our office. In the chat, though, finally, Madam Chair, I did put in a link to an e-newsletter that he issued yesterday. And it talks a lot about what he's trying to do to help Congresswoman Tokuda and the rest of the congressional delegation when it comes to Maui. So that's it, Madam Chair. Open to any questions from you, board members, or anyone in the community.
Thank you, Nestor. I'd like to just add that Dylan, as a part of our changes here on the neighborhood board, If you all note on our agenda, it says that meeting materials will be linked in a Google Drive. So this is really exciting news for our elected official reports, because when you provide reports to the neighborhood board and the NCO office, that will be included in the Google Drive for the board members to access. So it's an effort for more sustainability, which is wonderful. We can save some paper, as well as all be on the same loop and use some of the internet connectivity. With that, members, are there any questions for Congressman Case's office? Seeing none. Thank you, Nestor, for being here with us tonight online.
I did 2 boards in one night. Nice.
All right, we're gonna move on to Miss Tony Schwartz, the governor's representative for Governor Green. I see Tony is not available in person. Is she online?
Chair, point of information. Are we allowed to ask the representative questions? Community?
I'm sorry, who's speaking?
Lopaka,
Oh.
excuse me.
Okay, Lopaka, I've actually moved on in the agenda, so we're moving on to governor's representative.
Yeah, I had my hand waved digitally.
I don't see your. Oh, okay, now I see it. Lopaka, can you make that a quick question and comment?
Yes, I'd like to ask if the Congress member, what the Congress member can do on behalf of the heirs to the private interest in the lands of Makua and Poakuloa and the other leased lands that the state has leased to the Department of Defense. So if you could bring that up to the Congress member, that would be fantastic. So we can get somebody ahead of this.
Hey, Madam Chair, I heard the question or the concern from Lopaka. We'll be working even with Congresswoman Tokuda, who's, I think, is the member of Congress that covers a lot of the leased lands that you were referring to. It's within her congressional district. But of course, we will work with her and the rest of the congressional delegation to address your specific concern about the heirs to those particular lands that you referred to, Lopaka.
Mahalo, thank you.
Questions from the members of the audience to Congressman Case's office? Lopaka, your hand is still raised?
Yes, I wanted to see if the representative would mind meeting with the heirs of those private parcels, 18 private parcels of Makua.
Let me discuss that with Congresswoman Tokuda. Again, that's her congressional district. Yeah, I don't want to step onto her turf, but I'm quite aware, though, Lopaka, that we will want to work with Congresswoman Tokuda. But let me discuss it with Congresswoman Tokuda's office and see whether or not she might want to take the first meeting with the heirs.
Thank you. Lopaka, I'm sorry, I stepped out during your presentation or your community concern, as well as some of the discussion, because I was concerned here as chair in securing a secure long-term meeting location for our neighborhood board. I want to make sure, my question to you, Lopaka, are you raising this issue to the members of the Wahiawa neighborhood board, as well as members or neighborhood boards that represent the Makua area?
I'm sorry, Chair. I just got back online. I was disconnected. I'm not sure why that happened. It was the second time it happened since I've been here, but I missed the last 2-3 minutes of what was stated. So I just came in the last second.
Okay, I will restate my question to you, sir. So I apologize, first off, that I stepped out. I had needed to handle a matter of our board's issue to meet in a meeting location for the ongoing year. So that's why I was unable to hear your community concern. My question to you, Lopaka, was, have you been able to raise these community concerns of yours to the Wahiawa Neighborhood Board, since I believe that's an area in which you reside, as well as neighborhood boards that represent the Makua area?
No, I don't. I don't live in those neighborhoods. I live
Oh, you
in.
don't.
I live within this neighborhood, and so I'm reporting it to this neighborhood. Although
Oh, my
my.
apologies.
Although
I have you down for the Wahiwa Civic Club.
no, I was a former vice president of the Wahiwa Civic Club.
Oh, okay.
I
Thank you for the
mentioned.
clarification. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I thank you for that clarification, Lopaka. I do appreciate that. These issues are not agendized, and I am a little worried about our board meeting. We are going quite late. It is 9:30. Typically, our board does leave before 10. We have quite a few elected officials reports as well as recessed issues. So without further ado, I'd like to proceed with this meeting and keep many of the questions very short between our board members and members of the public.
Not a concern at all. Thank you very much. I said my piece.
Mahalo Lopaka, appreciate you. We're going to move on to the governor's rep for Governor's Josh Green. Is Tony available online? Hearing none, no representative for the governor. We're going to move on to the mayor's representative for Tracy Kubota representing Mayor Rick Blangiardi. Tracy, thank you for being here in person.
Okay, good evening, everybody. Welcome new members. Thank you, Tracy Kubota, Mayor Blangiardi's representative. Okay, so I'm hoping that you folks had the link for Mayor's Rep, and if not, I will read verbatim all the bullet points. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, we'll go. Okay, we'll go with the summary.
I'm going to note that there's a 3-minute time limit for all the elected official reports. Thank you.
Okay, let's rip through the responses. Here we go. So just wanted to make sure, though, that you folks did understand that a few things from the departments that were reporting to us. Department of Human Resources wanted to make note that for the second year in a row, Forbes has distinguished the city and county of Honolulu among America's best employers in the state, ranking number 2 employer in Hawaii and number 1 in state for government services. We're also always recruiting, so please make sure to visit our city and county website if you are looking for a job or know somebody who is. Our Budget and Fiscal Services Department, Real Property Tax Division, they wanted to make sure that homeowners understand that there's a real property tax credit program, and that's going on right now. They raised the income limit, from 60,000 to 80,000. This increase allows large number of homeowners to apply for this credit. So you need to apply, and you can go online and you go to the www.honolulu.gov/treasury. So there's actually a form that you fill out. You want to make sure that your income threshold is 80,000 or less, or whatever that might be, to qualify yourself with some or tax forms. And so it has the full instructions. It tells you you can call the IRS. It has you walking through step by step. So please go ahead and check, and people understand that that credit is available. And want to make sure that that's happened because of Bill 40, and that was recently signed by Mayor Blangiardi, and it increases the home exemption. This is another tax property situation. Home exemption amount for the owners and under the age of 65 from 100,000 to 120,000, and for owners 65 years and older from 140,000 to 160. So you can file based on these newer, higher brackets, and it should give more relief to the ages of those homeowners 65 and older. It's granted based on just the seniority of age, and there's also forms. You can visit realpropertyhonolulu.com to follow home exemption and make sure you have a home exemption. I know Board of Water already reported on their rates. So responses from prior months meeting, abandoned vehicles. So I just wanted to make sure. So this one is going to involve a little bit more information that's needed to be provided by whoever's interested in wanting to expedite their, I know it was all about don't have papers, ownership papers, to be able to trade, buy, sell, whatever, a vehicle. They want to make sure that at their motor vehicle control section, 768-2530, 768-2530, you can go ahead and call to make sure you can provide information on the vehicles that are trying to be purchased or sold that doesn't have the ownership papers, to be able to expedite the response for that purpose, because each case is a little different. Some people don't have the title, don't have the ownership, have not got it conveyed properly, have it on a city street. So there's many issues and questions that they have to ask before they can help expedite something. So again, 768-2530. DFM, the stop sign, that's, let me see, this is Board Member Ross requested the replacement of the stop sign at intersection of Holoniku Street and Holoniku Street. So that stop sign that was heavily graffitied was replaced on July 6th. DTS. So this one is the bus route, number 51. The start time at 5 o'clock a.m. And there was a request to check to see if the current start time was too late for residents who have to get back to work. Route 51 schedules were reviewed and there have been no changes to the early morning start time since August 2022. The scheduled times at the Wahiawa Transit Center for the first 3 weekday trips are shown below, which is first trip 4:33 a.m. is where it starts eastbound from Wahiawa to Honolulu, and westbound 4:13 a.m. to Wahiawa. Second trip 4:47 and 4:27 respectively, and third trip is 4:56 and 4:36. For more information, www.thebus.org, or 808-848-5555, press 2. Okay, DTS also responded to Board Member Freed's inquiry about how it would be most accessible to get to the skyline via the Wahiawa Armory Park and Ride. So DTS says, depending on the time of day, the quickest trips to downtown Honolulu would be using a direct the bus trip, routes 52, 83, 98, or 98A, and that all trips are accessible to persons with disabilities. Since Skyline currently operates only to the Halawa Aloha Stadium until the mid-2025, a transfer from the Wahiawa bus to the Skyline in Aya to transfer again to a bus to Halawa will take longer than the current the bus services that are in place. So it's best to stay on the bus if that's easier for you, and unless you want that sky ride that gets you the tour. Skyline operations extend to Kalihi and is anticipated to start in mid-2025. Okay, DFM has responded that the overgrowth that they had inspected at the Hokuleva Loop and Kwahilani Avenue location, they referred it to DPP Residential Code Enforcement Branch because this is really about when they inspected it, it's the property owner that needs to remedy the situation with the overgrowth in the planter strip. And the DPP Residential Code Enforcement Branch would investigate and make sure that that happens. That's it for me. And as far as responses, I'll take any questions back.
Members, any questions for the city? Les, followed by Josie.
Yeah, Tracy. I want to ask you, maybe you can go back to the mayor and ask him, in light of the disaster that happened in Maui, and it looks like the evacuation, they didn't have an evacuation plan. And you probably will remember when I was on the Waikiki Neighborhood Board, because I remember working with you there, that we put an evacuation plan in Waikiki. In fact, I remember riding my moped on the streets, charting out the map to help put it together. And it worked out really well. It was at the time for the tsunami warnings that we had. And when we had a real tsunami warning, it really worked out well. I'm just wondering what the mayor would think about maybe following up on some evacuation plans like in Haleiwa, one of, our towns by the ocean, and actually in any town, Mililani or wherever, as far as fire is concerned. We just had a fire in Kunia. You probably know about that. So I was wondering how he feels about maybe pushing a more evacuation awareness kind of a thing. And you can let me know what he says. And anyway, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Mr. Garcia, would you fix your camera angle? Thank you. Josie.
Hi, thank you. I noticed there was a lot of, actually throughout the years, there have been a lot of trees removed on Kohelani, anywhere from, was it Kaloapau, all the way up to Kipapa. All the way up to Mehu'ula. And they don't seem to be replacing the trees. And our aesthetics in Mililani is known for, our large amount of trees. Requesting that they all be replaced, or are they going to plan on replacing it, or is there a reason they're not replacing it? Thank you.
Mary, go ahead.
So I'm familiar with one area in Kuahalani where trees were taken out, but that's because the city and county is making property owners where the trees are on the property pay to repair the sidewalks. So, these property owners can't really afford to keep planting trees and keep replacing the sidewalks. So I hope that's taken into consideration when you're planting trees. Okay.
Members, any other questions for the city and county? All right, members of the audience, any questions for the city and county? Seeing none, thank you so much.
Thank you
Tracey.
very much.
We're gonna move on to Councilmember Val Okimoto's office. Is there a representative in person or online?
Aloha.
Who's that?
That's Eric.
Eric, welcome. Please proceed.
Aloha, Chair, members of the board. Eric Kaman with Councilmember Okimoto's office. Quick legislative update. We are currently in committee week. Tomorrow's the last day. A couple bills of note that we passed that will be on the agenda for next full council are Bill 46 that defines and prohibits the sale of flavored tobacco products within the city and county of Honolulu. Bill 44, which seeks to deter persons from making or inciting false statements to public servants. Bill 20, which seeks to address parking in the city and county of Honolulu, including the city's restricted parking zone program. And then a quick community update. We have opened up a service request for Mililani Vaina Elementary School, requesting a crosswalk warning light system at the intersection of Kipapa Drive and Ho'okeleva. Ho'okeleva'a, I apologize, street in Mililani. The initial concern was from a resident who was worried about the students arriving to school after the adult crossing guard had completed their shift. So we'll be updating the board as that moves forward. I'm happy to take any more questions or community concerns if there are any.
Any questions for Eric of Councilmember Okimoto's office? Karumi, please proceed.
Hi, Eric. I know you've been online from the very beginning, so hopefully you remembered my comment regarding the opening of that access walkway from Meheula Parkway to Kipapa Drive, which allows elementary students to cross through to get to Mililani Waiana. So that was
Aloha.
your problem
Yes.
solver.
I did. I wrote that down and sent it to my guy, Mr. Shadell, who's in my office,
Thank you
who's
so
been handling
much.
all that. So yes, thank you very much.
Members, any other questions for Eric? Members of the audience, any questions for Eric of Councilmember Okimoto's office? Kurumi, your hand is still up? Okay, seeing none. Thank you, Eric. We're going to move on to Kelly Anaya, who's online, representing Councilmember Ware's office. Please proceed, Kelly.
Aloha, Chair Bass, members of the board. Can you hear me? Good. Okay. So I just wanted to do a quick update. I believe it was board member Dow who asked last time about the tree farm that Duff had some money budgeted. So I believe I did reach out to him via email, but for the board, so the tree farm funding is currently for design and is in the scope development and consultant procurement phase, and it will be limited to a new prefabricated storage unit. So that's what the money was for. And then I'm sorry, I don't remember which board member asked about the resilient and sustainable improvements, but basically what that means is that whatever improvements that are being done to the park, they need to last at least 20 years or more. There was no specific equipment that they might be implementing, but there is a multi-purpose playing field and parking lot that are currently in the design and planning phase. So that's probably what that is for. And then just a couple of legislative updates. Councilmember Wire is co-sponsoring Bill 46, which is regarding the banning of flavored tobacco products, which is aimed towards our youth. And Bill 47, which is the collection of manufactured compostable materials. And that is scheduled to be up for next month's full council meeting. And that's all that I have for this evening. Any questions for Councilmember? I can take them back.
Thank you, Kelly. Board members, are there any questions for Councilmember Wire? Seeing none, are there any members of the public who have any questions for Councilmember Wire? Seeing none, thank you, Kelly, for being here tonight.
Thank you
We're
for
going to
having
move on to Senator Michelle Kidani's office. Is there a representative available for Senator Kidani? Run.
Okay, good evening, members of the board, members of the public. My name is Trevor Nagamine. I'm here on behalf of Senator Michelle Kidani's office. So I'll just be very brief in the interest of time. I do have a response regarding the question about the disposition of the income from renting school facilities. So basically, all of any money that the school collects for renting facilities out, whether it's like a classroom like this or basically any part of the school, that goes into a fund where basically there's essentially like a small service charge that's collected by DAGs for their administrative overhead. And then 70% of the rest goes back to the school. And then 30% of the rest goes essentially to DOE. It's a little strange because the admin rule refers to districts, which aren't around anymore. They've been replaced by complex areas. So I'm not sure if it's just retained by DOE as a whole or or it's kept within the complex area. But so there's that for the base rent. And then there's a separate charge for custodial services that is kept 100% by the school, since the idea is that's to reimburse them for basically like their cleaning expenses, essentially. Other than that, just a brief highlight from her report. Senator partnered with Mililani High School and Senator Dela Cruz from Wahiawa and the several other organizations to host a donation drive for Maui, which was very successful. Other than that, I'd be happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Trevor. Board members, are there any questions for Senator Kidani's office? Seeing none, are there any members of the public who have any questions for Senator Michelle Kidani's office? Seeing none, thank you so much, Trevor, for being here tonight.
Thank you.
We're going to move on to Senator Donovan Dela Cruz's office. Is there a representative available in person or online?
Hello, Chair. Thank you so
Hi,
much.
Alex. Welcome.
Sorry
Please
I couldn't be
proceed.
there in person. As a reminder to the board, I am employed by the Senate Committee on Ways and Means. My name is Alexander Ozawa. To get to Senator Dela Cruz's report, to keep it brief, we have three things. One is a CIP release of funds for the Mililani High School girls athletic facilities, $2 million for Title IX related improvements. Number two, Senator Dela Cruz's office is working to provide parking access to park users in the Middle School parking lot. It's a result from the city and county providing land for the new building for Mililani Middle School for the single track system. We will have a more detailed report by the next board meeting. And lastly, the senator has a monthly, if not more, newsletter. So if anyone would like to subscribe to the newsletter, please email delacruz2@capital.hawaii.gov. That is delacruz2@capital.hawaii.gov. I am open to any questions.
Mahalo, Alex. Board members, are there any questions for Senator Dela Cruz's office? Seeing none, are there any members of the audience who have any questions for Senator Dela Cruz's office? Hearing none, thank you, Alex, for your presentation. We're going to move on to Representative Amy Peruso, who's with us tonight. Welcome. Thank you.
Aloha, and welcome to the new board members. It's nice to see everyone. So I want to say first, I think my time in office is going to be marked for me in terms of pre-Lahaina and post-Lahaina. It is going to continue to have a dramatic impact on all of our communities, I think. So in the initial response period, I'm really grateful for the outreach that's been happening to the Lahaina community. And I've been working, because of my committee responsibilities, primarily with the teachers and the families who had students in those schools, and also with UH students whose plans had been upset. There are about 300 Maui students who intended to start school last week throughout the system. And so I've been working with administration to make sure that they have support, and the UH system is providing them with additional support and wraparound support. And I think there's also been mental health support as well as material support. And I also want to emphasize that Lahaina should not have been a surprise for us, that we saw that this was coming with Hurricane Lane. The conditions have existed since then, these compounding and intensifying and accelerating hazards. So in Wahiawa and Whitmore, we are preparing for that. We've been communicating with the major landowners, so that includes OHA, ADC, the military, and Dole. And I'm sure people are aware that right as the Lahaina fires were starting to be tamped down, then we saw a fire raging in our own district, which burned 450 acres of OHA land, the Kukani local lands, and just narrowly averted burning the birthing stones, and came very close to Po'omoho Camp and Whitmore Village. So had there been winds, we would have had a different situation. So I really want to emphasize to the board as community leaders and also to anybody who may be listening that it's really incumbent upon all of us to begin to get prepared. Mililani is really, lucky to have a really active HARP group. And I suggest that all of you folks kind of look up Braden Sakai, get involved with his work, and start thinking about disaster preparation. And in Wahiawa, we similarly have a HARP group, and we're beginning one out in the Waialua Mokuleia area because all of those communities are vulnerable. So that's the work I've been doing, and I'm open to questions.
Thank you, members. Board members, are there any questions for Representative Peruso?
Because I was so uplifting.
Seeing none, are there any members of the audience who have questions for Representative Peruso? Hearing none, I'd like to welcome, yes, Lopaka. You have a question for Representative Peruso? Okay, go ahead. Let's make it quick.
Mahalo, Representative Peruso, for your service. This is Lopaka from the Hawaiian Society of Law and Politics. Thank you for all of your service. First of all, I'd like to ask you, well, the only question I have is, what happened with all the civic education legislative bills that went through the state? If you could just give us a summary of what happened, because we understand that civic education is needed, given the fact that there's, a low voter turnout and et cetera, et cetera. So could you give us a brief summary of what happened with that?
That's a great question. So the civic education legislation, one bill made it all the way to conference. What I considered to be the most substantive bill, because it was my bill, made it through the House, but didn't get hearings in the Senate. And I think we just look forward to further conversations. At the National Council for State Legislators this past week, we passed a resolution re-emphasizing the importance of civic education. So I appreciate you calling attention to what I think is really a critical issue. And yeah, so that's basically the state of play. And thank you for your questions about Kukani Loko and Makua. And just to let you know that the LNR and the Army and the military are working on the EIS statement. So I think that's part of the holdup with the leases. I just wanted to say that. I know that wasn't a question.
Thank you. No, it's giving a full circle close out to those questions. I appreciate it. Are there any other members of the audience who have questions for Representative Peruso?
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Lopaka. Moving on, we're going to welcome Representative Lauren Matsumoto. Thank you for being here with us tonight.
Thank you. Good evening, Chair, members of the committee, and especially the new members of the Neighborhood Board. Great to see you. So I have two handouts for you today. Because we were in recess in July, this is my legislative wrap-up, so you can look through that. I'm not going to go through it all, but again, there's bills, some of the funding, and again, the the survey that I do every year during the legislative session. Just wanted to highlight that this isn't all of the survey results. If you go to repmatsumoto.com, you'll have all of the 10 questions that were asked. And then also on this second page, this is my monthly update. Was able to work with a lot of the students for their the student councils in Mililani and talk with them. Like Rep. Pruso, this last 2 weeks has really been focused on everything happening in Maui. As many of you know, my husband is a firefighter as well as my brother. And so getting a lot of different perspectives on things that have been happening in Maui. But one of the things that we've gotten back is there's been a great outpouring for physical donations. But at this point, they've kind of hit the capacity for physical donations. So monetary donations is what they're asking for now. So have a few different organizations you can give to. I also wanted to highlight a free program with the library, Hawaii Digital Navigators. And so that information is also on your handout. Great information there. We'll also be doing a listening tour. Our caucus will be doing it. We're doing it across Oahu. So it's flipping the concept of the town hall rather than somebody ask from the audience asking the question and a politician at the front giving a 1 minute, usually pretty unsatisfactory answer for a really complex issue. Looking to have more of a dialogue to help create bills for this next legislative session. There will be one in Central Oahu Thursday, September 14th at 6 p.m. at the high school cafeteria. And then also every year before COVID hit, we did a Capitol Talk-In Tour for District 38 and whoever would like to come. And so we're bringing that back this year. It's going to be Wednesday, October 11th from 10 to 12. And that's during fall break. So all of the students can come too. So I know a lot of people saw the time and thinking kids can't come, but it's meant so all of the students can come as well. And that is my report for this evening.
Thank you so much, Representative. Members of the board, are there any questions for Representative Matsumoto? Seeing none. Are members of the audience, are there any questions for Representative Matsumoto? Seeing none, thank you so much, Representative. We're going to move on to Representative Trish LaChica. Is Representative LaChica or a member of her office here in person or available online?
Yes, I'm available online. I'm representing Rep. LaChica as her office manager tonight. Aloha Chair, members of the board. I'm Erin Conway. Sorry I can't be there in person. I was helping load donations actually a bit ago, but Representative LaChica is traveling to the Philippines tomorrow. But just a couple updates. Our office's efforts have shifted a bit to be more Maui focused, obviously. So Representative was working on with Healthy Mothers, Healthy Babies to get a bus to Lahaina right after the fires the first week. And that took a couple days, but that was possible. And then I've been at the Capitol at the donation drives and trying to help load the donations and organize some of that. So that's what we've been doing surrounding Maui. A couple other updates. We held a public safety event in July where it was a talk story. The community came together along with the mayor and police chief Logan. And that was really good because they expressed their concerns on safety and we explained how they could start a neighborhood watch. And this proved to be pretty beneficial. And we gave out a survey at the end and people said that they would attend an event like this again. So we were happy with the results of that. And then 2 weeks ago, we had a Zoom meeting in regards to the school bus service cancellations. We had more than 50 members of the community attend, and they got to hear directly from Assistant Superintendent Mr. Randall Tanaka. And this was really helpful because they got to ask questions and express their concerns and hear directly from the Department of Education instead of just our office. We've also heard that the Koa Ridge bus service may be reenacted pretty soon, but we haven't heard an official date of this. So we will keep you updated as soon as we know. We are also still trying to restore the Waipio Gentry route, but obviously more pressing issues in Maui right now. But Governor Green did issue an emergency proclamation August 17th in regards to the bus service issue. So with this, we're hoping it makes things a little easier going forward. But those are the updates that we have. And if there are any questions, I'd be happy to pass them along.
Thank you, Erin. Members of the board, are there any questions for Erin of Representative Trish LaChica's office? Seeing none, members of the public, are there any questions for Erin from Representative Trish LaChica's office? Hearing none, thank you so much, Erin, for being with us tonight.
Perfect. Thank you all.
Mahalo. Members, we're going to go back into agenda item 5. What I'd like to do here in the interest of time is I'd like to defer item B, board recess schedule, to the September agenda, since that seems to be some topic of discussion. So we're going to go ahead and defer that. I'm going to move on to for September's agenda. I'm going to move on to making a motion adopting oral testimony rules. That public comments are presently limited to 3 minutes. Presentation time allotments will be made by mutual agreement between the presenter and the chair. Is there a second? Seconded by Josie. Any discussion, members? Any objections? Any abstentions?
So what are you saying? You can go longer than 3 minutes?
So public comments will be limited to 3 minutes. Presentations will be a negotiated mutual agreement between presenter and chair. So that's pretty much an ongoing rule that we've been doing, where I talk to the presenters and figure out how long their presentation is going to be. For example, we had Mililani High School present, and it was roughly 7 to 10 minutes. Is quite brief. So that's that negotiation that I'm requesting from you.
Okay.
Okay. Any objections? Any abstentions? Members, thank you for that support. I'd like to make a motion to establish committees as identified on the agenda and appoint members for the term year for July 1st, 2023 to June 30th. The committees as followed. I'd like to also make a point that because I was not operating as the assumption of the incoming chair, that I have not made any ideas or contacted any individuals regarding their chairmanships to these committees. And that would be something I would be working on between August and September. So right now, I am asking for the adoption and creation of appointment of the board committees as follows: community partnerships and community outreach, community recognition and service awards, community maintenance and walk audit. That's going to be renamed from the Walkaholics. Planning, zoning, sustainable development and climate resilience, transportation and OMPO, military affairs and emergency management, health, houselessness and human services, parks and recreation, Patsy T. Mink Central Oahu Regional Park, and education. So the same committees we had from the previous year. Is there a second? Seconded by Sabrina. Members, are there any discussion? Hearing no discussion, are there any objections? No objections, any abstentions? No abstentions. Thank you, members, for the support. Okay, so we'll go ahead and create those committees. Members, if you're interested in serving as chair, please contact me between now and mid-September. We're going to move into announcements. Our next board meeting will be scheduled for Wednesday, September 27th, 2023, 7:30 p.m. here at Mililani High School H building. I will coordinate with NCO's office to update their neighborhood board system monthly meeting calendar, which was enclosed in your packets. I note that Mililani Waipio, Melemanu, was misspelled, and it will be meeting at 7:30 p.m. Mililani High School H building, not Crestview Community Park. So we will make that adjustment. Community agendas, all committee agendas, for October 2023 are due to the chair September 18th, 2023. So again, we'll need to coordinate committee chairs. And finally, the broadcast of this board meeting is scheduled to be shown on Olelo Focus Channel 49 every second Thursday at 9 a.m. and Olelo Views Channel 54 every first and third Saturday at 9 a.m. Are there any additional announcements? Hearing none, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you, members.